My name is Jeawoo. I'm in Seoul, South Korea right now. It's 11 a.m. as you said. It's pretty cold here, and I hope you visit this country sometime in the summer, not in winter, if you have a chance. I'm going to go through my experience as a designer plus marketer, as a design researcher plus marketing researcher. And most of this experience will be a good example for many of the students when you actually go to the job market, because I'm now actively working with the companies, in-house department of the big companies, and hope some of my mistakes and some of my successful cases can inspire you at some point of your life. So share the screen with you with the very first PowerPoint slide. Just in case I open the chat at my right side, when you see my eyebrows go this way, then I look at your questions and your answers. So I try to interact with you. So the title of today's talk is a deep dive into customer experience. Let's begin our activity. How many of you have ever heard about customer experience or CX? If you haven't heard about it, could you please raise your digital hand, or you can type in number 1. I think almost everyone has heard about it before. That sounds fantastic. So then you will understand my talk much easier, because you haven't heard about it before, but you are still, actually almost everybody is still struggling what it is, because we all have a different perspectives, and I'm going to show you one perspective of everything. It's not the correct answer, but it might be the perspective you can think about. If it works, then you can embrace it. So next page is about my introduction. There are lots of words, but put many things into simple. When you actually see the left corner, I'm the full professor of marketing at the College of Business Administration, which means that I teach marketing courses to the undergraduate students, second year, third year, fourth year. And my courses are consumer behavior, or principles of marketing, new product development, so on and so forth. But at the same moment, I belong to experience design departments of the Graduate School of Techno Design. So over there, I meet lots of graduate level design students. And for those students, I introduce business and marketing. So I belong to two different departments, schools in the same university level. I meet two different group of students. And I have a little bit of sense about how two different groups of people think different way, and why we have to learn each other. And some of these will be introduced in my talk. I did my PhD in Toronto, but before going to Toronto, I did my BA and MBA in Seoul, South Korea. Ironically, when I was in the PhD program in Toronto, I realized that marketing or conventional approach of marketing technique is not good enough. We have to learn more. We have to go beyond what is given. That's why I chose 3 research interests, including design thinking, behavior economics, and customer experience, all of which are the topics that's outside or beyond conventional approach to the marketing. And thanks to my interest, design thinking and behavior economics, I did some projects with the companies, including Samsung Electronics or LG Electronics. Also, I did some corporate training for those companies. And I did some TV, I made some TV episodes, and also put some articles on the magazines, some of which you might be interested in. I'll introduce at the end of my talk. Before we jump into the topic, I share with you who I am very briefly. So up to 2011, which means that 2011 is the year that I finished my PhD program in Toronto. So if you see what I did in the PhD program, you have a sense about why I am in 2 different areas. If you have ever learned about marketing, you will be familiar with this framework. When we teach marketing or principles of marketing, we always begin with this 10 Lego blocks. 10 Lego bricks. What is marketing? The answer is this. In the first 3 components, company, competitor, customer, are the source of the research that we marketers have to do. So we have to understand my company, we have to understand my competitor, which is enemy, and we have to understand our customers who will pay the money. And after understanding me, my enemy, and customers, we set up the strategy. And strategy is pretty simple, which is often called as STP. We segment the market, select a specific market, and inside the market, we position our product differently from the other products, which is called as positioning. So that's a strategy. And after setting up the strategy, we play 4 different cards. We can develop new products, we can change the price, we can change the place, which is called the channels, or we can add the advertisements, so on and so forth, promotion, to execute this strategy. And in the PhD program, I became very much interested in 2 different boxes, which is colored in blue. The left bottom corner is product. That means developing something new. And the right top corner is customer, understanding our customers or people. And I really want to develop products more efficiently and better. At the same moment, we hope to understand our customers better. So these are my interests, but conventional understanding about marketing is not good enough. So what did I do? I approached the dean of my university. So dean at that moment is Roger Martin. He's a very well-known professor and guru, actually business guru, who wrote a book called The Design of Business. By the way, he's the 3rd person from the left. I learned about design thinking thanks to the conversation with him, and I'm exposed to design thinking. I studied about it, and now I do research very seriously. At the same moment, in the right corner, there's another person whose name is Dilip Soman. He's a behavior economist. He's my supervisor. So I became academically interested in the behavioral approaches. I learned design thinking to develop products better. I learned behavior economics to understand customers better. And I hope my understanding, my knowledge could benefit either marketers or designers to do their work more efficiently, more effectively, in other words, better. That's an idea. But today, instead of focusing these 2 different topics, I focus more on the behavior economics, the right corner, to introduce you how and why behavioral approach can benefit designers. So let's focus more on the behavior side. In 2011, I came back to South Korea and I joined this university called Kookmin University as an assistant professor. And I still work in this university for the past 12 years. And I'm going to share with you a little bit about what I did in Seoul. 2011, as I mentioned, is the year that I came back to Seoul. That is the year that I bought a one-way flight ticket from Toronto to Incheon. And I took a Korean Air with a very mixed feelings. I was really concerned whether it was a really good decision. But at the same moment, I was really excited to meet my friends, mom and dad, so on and so forth. But buying a one-way flight ticket it's a very, very, very strange moment. The reason why I emphasize this 2011 is the very first example that I want to share with you has something to do with this year. So today's agenda is divided into 2 parts. One is why customer experience, more specifically, why do people shop at SSG Food Market? I know that most of you have never heard about this grocery store, so I show you a little bit of moving pictures. And 1B, why do people keep shopping at this store? That's why. In the bottom, I'm going to show you how this knowledge can be applied to my projects in the How CX. 2011 is the year that I came back to Seoul from Toronto. And one thing that I was really, really worried about coming back to my home country, what is funny to me is that I didn't know how to cook. The only meal that I could make is a pasta. So I have to buy the pasta and I have to find the pasta sauce. And that's all I could do. But I was really concerned if there's any store in South Korea that sold pasta and sauce. If my memory served me right, before I came to Toronto, Canada, there was no place in South Korea that sold, that I could find the pasta and sauces. But luckily, in the airplane from Toronto to Seoul, I pick up the magazine and open it, and the magazine features a store called SSG Food Market. Here's the moving picture about SSG Food Market, just in case for those who may not heard about it before. You don't have to listen to any sounds because it's a YouTuber's video. This is the SSG food market. And I was really excited about this store because it looks exactly the same as the Whole Foods that many of you might be familiar with, if my guess is correct. So in Toronto, I was a big fan of Whole Foods. I always went to this Whole Foods and bought some potatoes and soup and ate it over there. Then when I came back to Seoul, South Korea, when I noticed that, oh, this grocery store looks exactly same as Whole Foods, then I was really relieved. So after coming back to Seoul, I went to this store about once a week. It has a very nice atmosphere. It's very different from the traditional Korean grocery store. For example, it displays the produce in a very structured way with colorful variations, and all sections are well divided, and people are nice, and everything was very well prepared. And I could find lots of pastas and sauces over there, and I saw that every 2 weeks they changed the pastas and sauces. So I came back to the store very often. For the first 6 months, I stopped moving these pictures, stopped running the videos. But then after 6 months of visiting this store, I realized that there's another store that sells exactly same pasta and sauces with a cheaper price. This place actually sold the same item more expensive. Oh, so I changed the place to buy the pasta and sauces after 6 months. And I thought that, okay, I'm a rational person. At that moment, my wife came back from Toronto to Seoul, and we went to this store once, and we went to another store that sold the same item in a cheaper price. And I asked her, why don't we go to the other store? And she said, no. And I asked her why. And she said, I don't know. That's the beginning of the whole story. And I was really perplexed. I thought I'm rational because I spend the money in a more smart way, rational way. And there's no way why we had to go to another store, spend more money, because items are exactly identical. Now, the question that I want to ask you, why do people shop at the SSG food market? And so for the experience, better experience, looks high quality, you get a better experience, felt more luxurious. Oh, yeah, felt more luxurious. That's one good example. Environment, yes, for the environment. Environment means that it's more, illusion of wealth. Yes, that's great. Product display. Makes you feel good to be there. Oh, Camilla, the label is unique. Oh, Alessia, better quality products. Okay, Alessia, I'm going to tell you a bit more about this interesting things. Convenience, everything is well organized, Dorothy. Yes, that's great. I was also very curious. I was really curious about why my wife actually were stuck with the store. So what did I do? What I did, my wife and I went to the store again, which I didn't want to do. While she was shopping, I was standing outside and then looking at the people who actually pay the money and then leave. And then suddenly I realized that, oh, I'm the researcher, so I should have started collecting the responses about the people. So I approached every individual shoppers and asked her or him why you came to this store. And then I make a note. If my memory serves me right, I collect the responses from about hundreds men and women who came to the store and shopped and paid the money and then left the store. I actually had a very interesting findings. Out of hundreds visitors, about 50 were men. Do you guess what these Korean men answered? Why they came to this store? Anybody who could actually answer? Almost every Korean man answered exactly one answer. Yeah, thank you. So you are correct. Yes. Bridget, wife sent them. Yes. Max, their wives. Yes. And Toshika, wife. Yes. Oh, yeah, Kasia, girlfriends. Yes. So basically, these 5 men's responses are useless. So I drop them. I dump out the answers. Yes. So they are actually no-brainers. So I look at these 50, the other women shoppers answers. And they answered quite many different types of answers. And when I first looked at their answers, I thought that, it's very interesting. This is customer experience. Before I actually read their responses, I expected some very scientifically fascinating and luxurious kind of answers. Maybe the design is good, lighting is good, the area is good, the people are nice, because all these answers justify why they pay more money for the same items. And every single visitor, she or he already knows that they pay more money for these environments. But they have to justify their shopping experience by adding some reasons. And my thoughts was something you can see in the left bottom corner of my slides. Could anybody guess what is this, the wood plate? And wood plate says 3.5 centimeter, 3.0 centimeter, 2.5 centimeter, 1.5 centimeter. Thickness of bread? Yes, Jackie, you're almost correct. But thickness of not a bread, but something else. Oh, not a cheese, not a cake. Oh, yes, meat. Yeah, Echo, you're correct. Thickness of meat. My expected answer before I read their comments was that, oh, customization. Okay, every single visitor wants different thickness of the meat, but visitors do not know how to tell how thick it is. They can actually touch this wood plate and then, okay, could you please cut the meat like this thick? Okay, wow, that's a great idea. And I expected this kind of answer, but the answer is different. The reason why so many female shoppers come to this store and spend more money and live happily is this. The next slide. The most frequent reason is valet parking. So it's free of charge. So when the visitors pass over the keys, the valet prepares cars and load the heavy luggages onto the trunk, and then say bye and or say yes and hello, so on and so forth. And I was really surprised that, oh, so people spend more money for the shopping experience because there's a valet parking. Wow, it's amazing. Oh yeah, Echo, you're right. That sounds fancy. That's something that I didn't expect before I read their comments. So here's one thing that I learned. Okay, we need a valet parking to give a good experience. So as you see on the right bottom corner, do we have to provide valet parking service to all the stores? I don't think that's correct answer. Here's the point that we have to do the deep dive. Why do people answer valet parking is the reason that they come back and they pay actually more money and leave the store happily? According to the one research, here's the graph of the figure that you can find in a paper. By the way, if you see the left bottom corner of the slide, you can find the paper. Here's the citation. There are two researchers who did a study about how people remember the pain. And in this experiment, participants or the patients had to go through a colonoscopy procedure, but they didn't hypnotize, so it's very painful. And every single minute, these patients were asked to click a couple of times to indicate how painful it is. It's a very strange experiment that was done at the end of 1990s. Yeah, all the psychologists are a really interesting person. But anyway, as you can see, there are two different types of patients. Patient A, the left corner, when the procedure begins, wow, it's very painful, and then okay, and then very painful, and stop. And patient B, painful, 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 and there's an intermission, and oh, painful, and then a little bit, okay. If you see the size of this gray area between patient A and B, you can very easily notice that patient B went through more amounts of pain because the gray area is the total amount of pain. But interestingly, when the experimenter asked each patient, how much do you want to recommend your doctor to the other patients and how painful it was for you to go to the procedure, interestingly, patient B answered that, okay, I want to recommend my doctor because my procedure was not painful. And patient A says that it was so painful. I don't want to recommend my doctor. And then these researchers found that, okay, there's something wrong with people remembering their experience. In the next page, they suggest that, okay, people focus on the peak and end when they're memorizing a sequential experience, because we, as a human being, do not have a high quality device in our brain. Instead, we have to remember, when we remember our past experience, we have to take lots of pictures, photos. And then when we remember our past experience, we often pick up the peak photos and the end photos. And if these two photos are good, I remember incorrectly, my experience was good. And if peak and end photos are bad, then I remember incorrectly that my experience was not good. So peak and end moments of the experience are erroneously highlighted, particularly when we remember. That's an idea. That's an idea about the peak and the rule. So when you ask your kids, I know that you don't have a kids yet. Many of you may not have a kids yet. But when you ask your kids what you remember about your theme park experience, very often these kids remember that, wow, peak moments, and then bye-bye to the costume workers at the end of the moment, or Disney Castle and fireworks like this. But they forget. They have to wait 40 minutes, 50 minutes waiting for the one attraction, which means that we actually have a very interesting mechanism about how to remember the past experience. This is the beginning of the behavioral approach. So this is why we have to understand customers very deeply, because buying the good quality apples does not justify them paying more money, or hiring very friendly cashiers does not justify their experience. But instead, installing a very nice end moment, whatever it is, it could be valet parking service, it could be something else, could actually justify their luxurious experience. So if you actually remember that peak end rule applies to the many people's remembering experience, you can actually create an extraordinary experience pretty easily. Okay, then we learned one thing: creating extraordinary experience will attract customers. But don't they just go back to the so-so experience if it's too expensive because people are rational? That's the question. Now it's time for us to bring another theory called the prospect theory that we behavior economists learn at the very first chapter of our discipline. And this graph is pretty simple and straightforward. So x-axis is money. You earn the money or you lose money. And y-axis is happiness. You become happy or you become unhappy, sad or unpleasant. Researchers were interested in, they wanted to know what is the relationship between the earning the money and happiness, losing the money and unhappiness. There are many things that I can tell you about this graph, but anyway, the key point of this graph is that loss is more powerful than gain. So for example, if you pick up the bill on the street, then you become happy like this. But if you lose the $10, exactly same amount of money, then you become sad, go down. And the amount that you feel sadness is actually greater than the amount that you feel happiness, so that even though your monetary gain and loss are exactly the same, so you don't earn or you don't lose any money, but at the end of these two experiences, you feel bad. That's an idea. So we can actually apply this idea into the design. So if you replace x-axis from the money to the experience, then we can end up having this conclusion. Imagine that you go to a so-so store, which provides you a so-so experience. Then if you go to the SSU food market that provides you with a better experience, you become happy, this amount happy. But if you go to the SSU food market first, in the next page, if you compare your experience at the so-so store, then you feel sad. if you happen to have a chance to experience at a better store like a SH Food Market or Whole Foods, then your previous experience at the other whole stores becomes the loss of your experience. That means you feel that you get sad or unpleasantness, and this is more powerful. Therefore, you don't want to go back to your previous places, and even though it's cheap. So if you imagine that, there are many examples like this. If you experience something good, then you will never ever go back to the so-so experience. It's very hard because your good experience becomes your reference point. And if you pick good experience as your reference, all of the other experience becomes your loss. And the losses are the source of your sadness. And loss and sadness is always more powerful than gain and happiness. That's an idea. So at the first moment, I tell you why people come back to the SH Food Market because of the pick and roll. And now I tell you why people who come to the SH Food Market keep paying the more money and cannot leave the store because the sadness is so powerful. So if you combine these two, we will end up having this idea. Okay. In South Korea, there are many different types of stores, and I always ask them, you have to hire designers because not many, always designers could provide a better experience, but it's more expensive. It probably increase the price of the product that you sell, but it's worthwhile. Why? Because if they apply this behavioral approach, then you will end up, as a salesperson, you will end up asking people to pay more money, but leave the store happily and keep coming back because of this behavioral mechanisms. So I try to use these ideas, behavioral theory, to persuade my business partners. I was a bit concerned about this example because SSC Food Market is a Korean domestic store, but if you can actually metaphorically understand the idea by putting your example like a Whole Foods experience, you could easily catch the messages that I want to share with you. Now we go down to the how parts. I'm sure that you will enjoy this part more. Adopting behavioral approach like a pick and roll and prospect theory probably help designers create an experience. Okay, now it's great. However, isn't there any other behavioral approaches that we as a designer can use and apply? It's different perspective. If you can catch the idea, then you can apply it into your approach to make your approach more reasonable or logical so that persuade others. So now we go to how parts. There are many other behavioral approaches you as a designer can borrow insights and apply it and persuade others. One thing that I want to very strongly recommend for you to study a little bit and use it. Before telling you these keywords, let's begin with another example. Another grocery store example that is in Denmark. Okay. Is there any person in this room who knows what the Irma is? It seems that almost nobody has ever heard about the Irma. I didn't know what it is, what it was before I went to Denmark. About 5 years ago, I had a 1-year sabbatical, so I decided to join Copenhagen Business School for 1 year as a marketing and design faculty member. And like most other foreign tourists, I look for the places by accessing the Airbnb, and I get a contract for 3 months and stay 2-story or 3-story houses with the other students. So we share house all together. The owner was a great couple, and the house, the husband and wife, and the wife was very friendly and she's very responsive. So I had a lot of questions about how to survive in Denmark for the 3 months because I went to the city, the Copenhagen, by myself. So my wife was in Seoul. I left for the city for 3 months at first. The first thing that I had to figure out is that which store that I had to go to buy the food items. Thankfully, at that moment, I learned how to cook potatoes tomatoes and something else. Now I look for the places to buy the food items. And she recommended me to go to the Irma. And she didn't tell me why, but she just asked me to go to the Irma because Irma seems to be the best place for a person like me. Okay, then I went to there. And I entered the store. These are the pictures that you can find in the Google, but exactly same. And it looks exactly same as what I saw in the Whole Foods or SSG food market. Most of the food items were packaged very nicely and quality is nice. And most importantly, the portion is really small. So you can buy 1 or 2 potatoes, individual items, very conveniently, so that I don't have to dump out the big portion of the food items. So I was really happy. Whenever I went to this Irma store to buy the produce, I noticed that the person who recommended me to go to the Irma, she didn't go to the same store. She went to the different store. The different store looked like this. It's a Lidl. If you come from Germany, or if you have a European background, you might have heard about this store. Or if you are living in the east part of the United States, you might have seen it before. Lidl as a big store chain. I don't know exactly what is look like, but if you enter the store, it looks exactly like this in the bottom 2 photos. The items are bulky and there's no shelf space. It's just a warehouse style, like a big Costco style stores. She always went to this store and asked me to go to the Irma. And I didn't understand why she went to this little store, because she seemed to always purchase the small items, which is exactly same what I bought. But the Lidl is a very humble and it doesn't seem to provide a good experience inside the store. So I tried to figure out why she liked this store more than Irma. Okay, now here's another question. Could anybody have any idea about why some people, or actually most people, like Lidl better than Irma? Greater variety of products. Well, that's a good idea. Cheaper, less expensive, cost, prices. Yeah, price cheap, that's variety. Actually, it's cheaper, a little bit cheaper. And access, parking. Irma is more likely to be located in the downtown area. Yes, parking is also an issue. But she doesn't have a car. She didn't have a car. She always made a long travel and bought and come back. But I didn't understand it. Convenience, quantity, less tourism. Yeah, less tourism sounds straightforward. Oh, straightforward. They grew up going there. Yeah, that's a good guess. Yeah, I think so. I thought so a little bit. But Irma is also Danish local store. So as you see in the previous slides, that Irma has a very cute small lady as a mark. So you can actually collect lots of free eco bag, and some people actually sell it by getting the money. But anyway, people really love the Irma. But I saw that quite many people shop at the Lidl. Arin, people shop there by habit. Very similar. People shop at the Lidl not by habit, but by something else. That's what I noticed after asking why she ended up shopping at Lidl. She didn't actually tell me why, but I noticed that every time before she go for the shopping, she look at the website and make a note on the paper by using her pencil and bring this one piece of paper with her to the Lidl. And I asked her what, and she showed me something like this. Oh yeah, it is supposed to be coupon, but actually not. When you enter the websites of Lidl, or Lidl's website differs depending on the country that you access. But anyway, this is one Korean version. There is a section called recipes at the very left top corner. If you click it, you can browse a recipe by time or by whatever. Nowadays, the most popular recipe is categorized by the back to school. And I realized that, oh, the Lidl actually understand what shoppers want. Okay, we shoppers do not need the fresh vegetables. We actually need to make a food at the end. And the Lidl helped us to achieve this goal by giving us the list of the items for the recipe. And if we click it, in order to create this recipe, they provide all the food items. And if the food, so she actually make a note about which food item she had to buy when she entered the store. So she actually saved the time by entering the store, bought these items, and then pay the money and left. Nowadays, I believe the shopping list, when the shopping lists can be stored on their smartphones so that they can use it. And whenever you click the items, it indicates that, oh, I have a potato at home, so I don't have to buy that. But if I click it, the carrots, then I have to buy so on and so forth. It's a very, very goal-oriented the product category system, which is very difficult. But it tells that this example clearly tells us that if we, marketers or designers, understand what people really want to do very, very deeply, then we will be able to provide them a very good experience, even though we do not provide them a good quality products, even though we do not have more various types of foods. I want to contrast two examples. One that you saw before about the SSG food market, where pick and rule matters. And this example, Lidl, here goal matters. SSG food market gives us an idea that we have to understand customers more broadly. But Lidl tells us that we have to understand customers or people more deeply. So whatever the direction that you can go, but you have to have some different lenses or psychological lenses to go wider or to go deeper in order to provide a good experience, which means that you actually make a fat margin as a marketer or designer. So this case, which I experienced, which I was exposed about 5 years ago, was really blew my mind. So I started studying about the goal or motivation system very deeply. At that moment, some of the people who were working at Samsung Electronics approached me and solved the problem altogether. So at that moment means that I was really, really into this goal. Then they asked me to figure out the problems. And then I applied the idea about the goal, and we figured out problems altogether. I show you a glimpse of the projects, how I apply this understanding about the customer's goal or user's goal helps us create a better experience. Here's the question that the designers raised on the table with me. Oh, by the way, this projects ran about 3 months with the Design Corporate Center at Samsung Electronics, located in Seoul, South Korea. I don't know whether you heard about the Design Corporate Center, or called the DCC, in the Samsung Electronics. This center has about 1,200 designers working all together. It's a huge, huge center. It's basically one company. And LG Design Corporate Center has about 800, so a bit smaller. But these two centers are really huge. And Design Corporate Center hired not only product designers or visual graphic designers or UI UX designers, but also they hire the producer of the TV companies. They also hire the author of the book, because nowadays they have to create different types of design by applying the idea from different areas. So even though your background is not design, you can apply to this company. And they sometimes, not sometimes, very often, hire the people with different backgrounds and call them as designers. It's a very different company. But anyway, the first question these designers ask me is that, how do we designers create the bundles better? For now, we designers combine products randomly. So for example, you can see on the right side, the Samsung Electronics produces lots of different electronic devices, including mobile phone and TV. These two products are often called as a hero products because sales are really huge, hero products. And They also create many different types of electronic devices and gadgets, but they want to sell different devices as a bundle. For example, the third from the very last is a smart door. If you insert the smart door at your door, the smart door is linked with your smartphone and TV so that you can lock and open remotely or at home as well. So you can be safe. If you see the second from the left, the white one is called the smart socket. If you install it and add the bulb, you can change the light brightness of the lights as well as you can change the color. So for example, if you at night, you can change the color and more dim and peaceful and you can actually fall asleep better by using your smartphone and TV as well. So they always try to add the product devices to the hero product called the smartphone and TV because these two products are sales the best. But they asked me, is it really a good idea? So as I mentioned that I was really into the goal. I asked them, why don't we study about the goal systems theory? This is the theory that I strongly recommend you, every single designer, to study a little bit about particularly when you persuade others this actually works. So goal systems theory was devised and developed by the Kruglansky, his last name. And this research area is very hot nowadays because humans' motivational system is very important in psychology, but hasn't been developed enough because for a long time, maybe many of you have heard about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. That's the only kind of theory or framework that researchers can rely on. But we always were dissatisfied about the Maslow's theory because it doesn't have any empirical data that tests whether the upper level goal should be pursued after the lower level goal. There's no empirical evidence. But thankfully, Kruglansky suggested this kind of system, okay? People have a goal and different sub-goals, different methods or means, and goal can be pursued by sub-goal and sub-goal can be pursued by different means, and each goal and mean can be linked with each other, so on and so forth, but different goals have a different levels. So it's very simple and straightforward. And we decide to apply it to the Samsung Electronics bundle system. So the current approach is not human-centered. That's our solution. That's our answer. So for example, smart door lock, the very left bottom corner, smart door lock with the Galaxy smartphone, with the TV, those three items go to the leave home safely. It's a first level goal that goes to the anytime, anywhere with your family. By the way, all these sentences and things are not something that we created, but something that they brought us. So Samsung tried to give a goal like anytime, anywhere with your family as a top goal, and the sub goal, you could leave home safely by using 3 different devices. But after listening to their arguments, we realized that, as you can see in the right corner, number 1, 2, 3, goal and sub goals are very vague and it's weakly linked, and even means are not tightly linked. So every single component of this goal system doesn't work really well. They simply try to sell smart door lock and smart plug by adding the smartphone and TV, and hopefully these devices will be picked up by the customers. But we as a customers, why do we have to buy these devices? Because we always lock the door safely, and I can actually turn it off and on and off without using the smartphone and TV. So there's no demand. So we asked them, why don't we adopt this goal system theory more seriously? For now, their approach is the gray parts, product-centered bundling. They select the hero products and attach whatever the products randomly. So we asked them to change the perspective to the blue parts. Select the products for a service, which is a sub-goal, that serves your final goal, whatever it could be. We call it as a service-centered or human-centered approach. So we strongly recommend them, please come up with some kind of service that encapsulates all the products, which serves your customer's final goal. Otherwise, no customers will buy whatever the bundle that you provide. I know some manufacturing companies, designers have never thought about the service, but now it's time for you to think more about the service, not the products. We end up having this one. So instead of thinking about the product first, we start from the top corner. Okay, what is the final goal that mom and dad want? The first one is, I want to take care of my kids. Okay, how? There are multiple sub-goals. One is, okay, I want to give them a good air. I want to take care of their sleeping. And something that is hidden of the picture is a safety issue as well, so on and so forth. Many different sub-goals are layered. And in order to achieve each sub-goal, we create the bundle differently. So for example, in order to take care of their air, there are 3 products that they can bundle. One is air conditioner, the other air purifier. And in order to function these 2 products well, you need a glue product called air monitor, like this. And everything goes like this. So bundles should be packed based on the goal. And this goal or service need to be driven by customers' ultimate goal. And as you can see, if you create a bundle like this, smartphone and TV disappear. And the designers were really concerned about the facts that how could we sell products without with those people, to those people who have no TV or who have no Samsung Galaxy phone. And we actually conducted some experiments and demonstrated that, yes, creating the bundles based on their goal systems theory is actually increased their purchase intention more strongly than adding the products to the TV and smartphones. So in this project, what I did is that please think from the customers using the goal system theory and eventually end up finding the right products collection that serves their goal. And thankfully, some of these designers like our ideas, they adopt it. And when you now go to the application or websites of SmartThings, SmartThings is, by the way, the application that the Samsung devices, electronic devices and gadgets are interlinked with each other. If you enter the SmartThings, you see that this sequence, they create the pages and so on. And if you want to know more in detail about what we did, you can actually find it in the paper. I already uploaded this paper on the website, and then you can actually find it by Googling the thing. So we call it as a goal-based bundling. And nowadays, quite many electronic manufacturing companies are asking me how they can actually apply this goal idea to create the better bundles. And I always ask them to read this paper first, and then we sit down together and try to come up with some nice ideas, how you can change your perspective from the product lovers to the human lovers. That's the first project. And I want to share another project, which will be pretty brief. This is another project who are kind of inspired by the first project. The same team, same group of people ask me different questions. Okay, given that we create a nice bundle, how could we sell bundles more? And they told me that nowadays, for now, designers focus on usability of the website. Usability of the website means that, interestingly, these designers always stick with the 3-click rule. So they have thoughts that all the customers and users have to finalize their purchase decision within the before clicking the 3 times. If customers click 4 times, then people leave. That's what they thought. Is there any reason why? And interestingly, many designers have no reason why. So, okay, then why don't we test it? But to test it means that we have to come up with some hypotheses. These are customers' purchase decisions. And we marketers believe that purchase decision cannot be made just one time, but it actually has a sequential process. First, customers recognize needs, then evaluate, search alternatives or information, and then evaluate them and make decisions and so on and so forth. And we marketers believe that each stage, customers will face some problems or they face a barrier. And we marketers should help them to go to the next stage by doing something. So for example, in our projects, we focus on only two parts. We help people recognize needs. We also help them search information by adding one page in the beginning of the whole customer journey. So what we did, we added the one page in the left corner. This page is so-called the goal priming technique. So sometimes people do not have a goal. And in this case, we write down some sentences, also show some pictures, and tells them, oh, this might be your goal. We prime their goals. Also help them to search the information by adding some pages. And after conducting some experiments, we realized that if we add one or two pages in the beginning so that we force people to click 5 times, not 3 times, then more people actually purchase the same bundle. And we estimate how many sales will happen. So we found that the sales will increase by 8.3% in the United States, in the North American market, not in South Korea. These findings also reported in the academic paper. So what we found here is that, okay, sometimes designers have intuitive understanding and very creative ideas. But at the same moment, these ideas have a very weak logical foundation. In this case, behavioral approach or psychological approach can help them to correct their ideas or sometimes to support their ideas. So the title of this paper is Rethinking a Designer's Rule of Thumb. We just make it more provocative. So quite many people read these papers. If you are interested in it, please read it afterwards. How CX, how I apply the behavioral insights, including goal system theory and then last mile thing. When we work with the Samsung designers, they find it interesting. So we work all together for the 3 months and then create a nice way to bundle products and a way to sell the bundles more. So these designers eventually use our technique and methods and reports to persuade marketing team or to persuade the sales teams. And in this case, it's very important because designers, even they are mess, they have to justify why designers are not just a cost center, they contribute to the sales of their companies. That's the final page of my slides. I start with the SH food market example to tell you about the why. Over there, I introduced a couple mechanisms like a pick and through prospect theory. But if you don't remember, it's okay for you to ignore all these sexy psychological title. But instead, I hope you remember the fact that our understanding about the other person, designers' understanding about the customers are often incorrect. That's the key point of the YCX. And then to the next, how? In order to understand the other person or customers better, you as a designer, I as a designer need some support. And the source of my support is a behavioral theory and academic research. Maybe you have a different sources, but I hope you to find the sources that solidify your findings or your suggestion so that your idea can be persuaded by the other marketers and the financial people. I know many companies are running in a very boring way. Yeah. Advertisements are too wordy, and products are sometimes very ugly. And many of these outcomes do not meet designers' expectation because business people believe that that's just a product, that's just a system. So I hope you, designers, come into our areas more and more. So change the convention of what we do. But in order for you to get close to us, you have to understand what kind of languages or mental models we actually have. So I hope you to be more exposed to the psychology or behavioral sciences so that we have a better, more conversation. Just in case, if you learn more about this behavioral science, academic economics, you can actually find this video that I uploaded on my website. I shot this video in the beginning of last year at a Korean broadcast system called EBS. And I added a subtitle on the whole video. Each video lasts about 10 to 15 minutes, so it's pretty short. If you go through 4 episodes, you can have a broad picture about how behavioral economics can be applied to the self-control, public policy, and companies. You have a big picture. That's one source that I want to share with you. Now the end of my talk, and thank you so much for your attention. I know 1 hour focusing on the screen is not easy, very painful, but I hope you pick up some peak moments and end moments of your enjoying talk. Thank you so much.